talk a little NLAO. As always, Steve Gardner from USA Today, great baseball writer, kind enough to join us for a couple moments. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great, Rich. How are you?
Good. Appreciate a couple moments. Bad loss last night for the Yankees. That's a game you have no business losing. Up 6-1 against Baltimore, and it's a good thing they were actually able to play better baseball against the Red Sox, but just a brutal loss. I'm actually more curious what you think, if anything, between the Yankees and the Red Sox, the type of punishment that you think MLB is going to hand down for using the form of electronics to steal signs against them.
Yeah, you can't really suspend a player or anything like that. I think that's generally when you talk of punishment. So what can MLB do? I don't know. Maybe John Farrell is the guy that sits out a game or two. It's hard to say. I don't know. And the thing is, it seemed like everybody is kind of, at least that I've heard comment about, is like, that's stuff that goes on all the time. So,
stealing signs has gone on forever, but this is kind of taking it to another level.
Yeah, especially when you go use the video room and all of that sort of stuff. It's it's definitely taken the cheating angle to a new level for sure.
I'm just curious. I think a lot of Yankees fans would probably say, "Why not make Green the closer?" And I understand you can't just throw a guy who's not familiar into that type of role and throw him in there. We look at the way the Indians use Miller kind of any way they want. And I'm just wondering, maybe that's the Yankees' line of thinking, because you're not really getting your money's worth with Chapman. You're just not.
No, he's got to be, really, to be effective and to be an integral part of that team, he's got to be the lights-out closer, and he's got to be the guy that you turn to because he's got the best stuff, and they're paying him an awful lot of money. What about, David Robertson, possibly? He's a guy that's done that before. Betances has had his bouts of wildness and things like that, and then, of course, giving up the big home run last night to Machado. Yep. What about Robertson?
Yeah.
He's had his last, 5 appearances, all scoreless. I think you've got to at least maybe try him out there and see if he can get the job and get things back to normal. I think the big thing, Rich, is by the end of the regular season, they've got to get everybody back into their original roles in time for the playoffs, because you've got to have everybody performing at peak level. Yep. And I think if the Yankees are going to go anywhere, now if they don't win the division, they're going to have to play the one-game wild card game, and who knows what could happen. But to go deep into the playoffs, you have to have everybody in their, familiar roles and functioning without really thinking about it. I think that's one of the things the Yankees are doing a lot of now is thinking a lot about what's going on, and it's overruling their playing thoughts.
Yeah, and you're right. Girardi, who tends to micromanage, and a lot of managers do, the way they use Robertson is, you're right, you kind of let the situation dictate how you use them. All right, as far as a couple of teams, the Dodgers, a little cold streak, spotty right now, but you look at the D-backs, they're hot. You look at Cleveland, they're rolling. Miller gets fully healthy. You can argue either him or Kenley, the kid Jensen from the Dodgers, the best closers in the game. But how about what the Tribe are doing and what the D-backs are doing right now? And Arizona gets some good news, because that MRI comes back clean on the elbow of one first baseman Paul Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt is so crucial to what Arizona does, and he makes that whole thing go. I think it's pretty amazing that you can get two teams with 12-plus game winning streaks coming on now, and they're not even the teams that everybody's been looking at all season as the favorites in their respective league. I think that's great as we get toward the postseason, for the excitement, the uncertainty. The Dodgers a couple weeks ago looked invincible, and now all of a sudden, oh wow, wait a minute, the Diamondbacks just handled them when they were playing head-to-head. The Nationals may get Bryce Harper back here in a little while. They could be dangerous. Steven Strasburg was great last night. I think this is really setting us up for yet another fantastic postseason.
How about the Astros feeling that they need to get another arm? You throw Verlander out there last night. He's absolutely masterful and brilliant. Look, if he gets them that big start in the postseason or wins a game or two and they get to the World Series and win it, then obviously the move pays off.
Oh, huge, huge. You know, it's kind of like I remember back to the Indians when they, or the Rangers when they got Cliff Lee,
yep.
and that sort of thing, where how he was just so dominant down the stretch and took them basically, you know, almost single-handedly from a pitching standpoint to the World Series and almost won it. I think Verlander is that kind of a difference maker, and if they can get Lance McCullers back and having him, you know, throw as well as he has at points during the season, then add him to Dallas Keuchel. You got a big three there. And hey, you know, we talk about the big winning streaks that Cleveland and Arizona have reeled off. The Astros have won 6 in a row, and that under normal circumstances would be, oh wow, let's just hand it to the Astros here. They look unstoppable. This is another very good team.
2 more before I let you get out of here. Sandy Orelson didn't really commit to matching 2017's opening day payroll for the Mets. It was right around $155 million. You look at some of their players that they come off the books. I mean, you got Granderson, Bruce, Duda, Walker, Reed. I think Fernando Salas, who's not going to be on the roster anymore. Maybe they buy out Cabrera. You know, to me, this franchise is going to take on a whole new look next year. And I don't know if the manager is still going to be in place or not, if it's Terry Collins or not, but the bottom line is I think there were high expectations, and I think this is one of I think if there are Met fans out there, you can look at this and say this has been historically the disappointing season in franchise history.
I think you can agree, and it all starts with the injuries to the pitching staff. And, you know, they reversed course, but when the Mets were going to throw Matt Harvey out there on 3 days rest, I'm sure everybody in Mets fandom just had a heart attack almost, because why in the world would you do that? It just seems to be like a metaphor for how they've treated their injured players this season. Something's got to give, and I think we've already seen the Mets dismantle this veteran roster and sending all of those veterans that you mentioned away in trades. It's got to be a big rebuild next year, and I think they have to go in to next season with absolutely no expectations. You know, they may be in the same boat with the Phillies, and you know, trying to build from the ground up, because you really have to hope that the future of this franchise lies on guys like Dominic Smith and Ahmed Rosario and getting those pitchers healthy, which so far the Mets haven't seemed to be willing to commit to the young guys, and they haven't seemed to find out exactly what keeps those pitchers healthy for an entire season.
All right, I got about a minute before I let you get out of here. So we saw the Phillies finally call up Crawford. We've seen the month, and rightfully so, should have been NL Rookie of the Month, or really a Player of the Month, NL Player of the Month, and Rhys Hoskins for his hot bat, or I should say rookie because it's Stanton. But the fact that they call up Crawford, it lets you know that, you know, they want to give the fan base something to be excited about. They've got a ton of prospects. You know, this has been a couple years in a waiting now. You know, what's for the next month? I mean, what should we expect from this Phillies team? You know, just kind of playing out the stretch right now and giving some of these young players some more at bats.
Yeah, I think just a glimpse of the future. What I'm really interested in, though, is Maikel Franco, because J.P. Crawford is started at third base. You know, he's seen by just about everyone as the Phillies shortstop of the future, and yet he's playing third base ahead of Franco, who, you know, last year, 2 years ago in spring training was hitting all these home runs and seemed like one of the cornerstones for their franchise, and now not even playing a whole lot. I wonder what his future is. And if you've got guys that have seemingly been part of the rebuild, not even participating a whole lot in September, that's an interesting dynamic there. So I'm wondering, there are a lot of bright spots, especially Hoskins. Aaron Altair coming back, I think, is going to be part of it. Nick Williams has been very good. There's some good things going on there, but you just need the rest of those guys that are maybe a step ahead to continue to progress and not regress, and that's a big thing for Franco right now, because it doesn't look like he's been able to take that step forward.
Nope, just 25 years of age as well. Bears worth watching. All right, my friend, we will talk next week. A little more time, start to get into these pennant races. They are heating up. Always appreciate a couple moments, pal.
You bet, Rich. Always great talking to you.
You got it. Steve Gardner from USA Today.